Thanks everybody for attending. This will be very quick. This is the full corporate deck, but if you want any more information, come see us at our booth 203 after the show, after lunch, or anytime during the rest of the show. I will be making some forward-looking statements. What I'd like to highlight here is we've got all the pieces to a successful junior mining company. If you look at us, we've got the infrastructure in and around us, which sets us apart from other companies in the Golden Triangle. We are located in BC's Golden Triangle, one of the hottest jurisdictions in the world right now to operate. We've got a commanding land package. We're over 60,000 hectares of really advanced ground. We've got an experienced management team, and we're well positioned to raise capital needed to progress our project forward. Looking at the Golden Triangle in itself, we're at the southern end of the Golden Triangle. Our two biggest neighbors are SCOT, which has just been funded $200 million to put their mine into production and to complete the mill that they're operating on. And then to the north of that is Newcrest, who bought out Pretium last year for $3.5 billion. So we are sandwiched between two mills in the Golden Triangle, and we are road accessible. If you look at some of the other exploration companies in the area and you step back 3 or 4 years, you look at things like Tudor, GT Gold, Skeena, SK Mining. These are companies with very low market caps, comparable market caps to where ours is, but 4 years ago. If you look at what underpinned them at that point in time and you look what underpins us now, you can see that there is an opportunity for a lot of price accumulation in our stock price, and just to forward project that of where we can go in the near future. This is our land position centered around the town of Stewart. Once again, it is road accessible, but most of our work is positioned up in the northern part of our claims. So just up here, about 95% of our dollars go into the ground in the form of drilling in and around the Scottie Gold Mine Project. Like I said, infrastructure is huge in the area. A lot of these major projects that are operating in the Golden Triangle have huge CapEx costs. We've got almost everything we already need to get the mine up and running. We actually have a small mine permit even sitting on the mine. This is the road up to the Scottie Gold Mine Project. That's the power line that runs within our property, or along our property boundary, within 1.5 kilometers of the mine. That's the power line that goes up to the Bruce Jack mine. It is a hydro line. We've also got underground workings that are still very clear and easy to access, and a lot of area ready for infrastructure to go in if we were to put this into production. But we are an exploration company, and we are trying to show the upside of the project in the area. This is what the Scottie Gold Mine site looks like. A couple of things I'd like to take away from this project and this photo right here. The mine itself operated in the early 80s. It's an underground mine. This is the main access to the mine. The mine itself is a bunch of steeply dipping veins that strike in and out of the screen into the mountain. We've actually found them on the projection on the other side of the mountain. An interesting thing that happened in the area in the 80s is the whole lake bed drained. So that's a vegetation line. You can see where the lake used to fill up. In the 80s, this was dammed by a glacial lake to the left. So the glacier pulled back, the whole lake drained, and that's offered a couple opportunities to explore in the area. One of those opportunities is the projection of the veins back towards us under the lake bed, of which we've done a lot of geophysics to find exactly where that projection could be for the veins. The other thing, the tails are exposed at surface now. We've done 115 samples from them. There's about an average grade of 2.2 in the tails themselves. But the biggest exploration upside to us with the lake bed draining is our blueberry discovery at the north end of the lake. This is what we've been really advancing on the last 2 years, and the structure that forms blueberries basically trends to the south under the lake bed, and now we're able to explore for that, something that was never possible in the past. This is an oblique view from Google Earth. You can see the relationship between the historic Scottie Gold Mine, located up here, and the Blueberry Zone, which we're really pushing forward fast right now. That's 2 kilometers of strike length as the crow flies between those two. And just for reference, the photo that I just showed you was taken from here looking back towards the mine. So Newcrest is right behind us, and the power line that feeds the Bruce Jack mine is located there as well. Scottie Gold Mine produced a half ounce in the early 80s. Just recovered under 100,000 ounces, but the recover grade of 16.2, if you add in the 2.2 in the tailings, that means the head grade for the mine was in the order of 20 grams, 18 to 20 grams, and the mine operated with a 10 gram per ton cutoff. They didn't shut down because they ran out of ore. They had 2 years of production ahead of them, but they had a $20 million facility paying 22% interest, and when gold price rolled over, the mine was done. So there was no hope for them at that point, and the mine ticked along. We've come in We've started focusing on drilling from surface, trying to show how much bigger this thing can be, and we've had quite a bit of success with that. But that's becoming dwarfed by what we've discovered at Blueberry, just 2 kilometers away. Situated here, just to the north, you've got the Grand Duke old mill, copper mill, just to the north of that. We came into it thinking there was a vein at surface. It's about 4 meters wide at its widest at surface and goes down to about 30 centimeters. We were trying to show that that was bigger than it was known of in the past. It had been drilled to about 45 meters depth before. We went in trying to show it went quite a bit deeper than that. We drilled this hole, and we hit a zone of mineralization before we actually got to the Blueberry vein. So before we intersected that, we hit a wide zone of mineralization that wasn't in a style that we were accustomed to in the area, and it didn't look that sexy. It had a little bit of disseminated purite and pyrite and a lot of black chlorite in the area. But we had sampled top to bottom, and then we got the results back, which were overwhelmingly positive. We went back in the next year trying to uncover what that mineralization was related to. We went to the north of the vein, we went to the south, we did a lot of prospecting and sampling, and came away with a new geological concept, that the mineralization was focused along a contact, and it wasn't the vein itself that was the big priority. We went to the north and to the south to where exactly that contact went, and exactly where it went over the road. These holes that we're drilling here are all skid-based drill holes. So we're using a drill with a bulldozer to push it around. We have some of the lowest costs in the Golden Triangle to explore with. And we showed that this thing had a lot of strike length and that our model was working. So this was at the end of 2021. We took this year and said, okay, how far can we push this model? What can we get out of this? The grades are holding up. Many of these are only 30 meters from surface. For example, this 34 grams over 11 meters, that's drilled from the road and from a vertical surface that's only 30 meters away. We knew the contact went to the south, and we knew it went a little bit to the north. We knew we were going to get cut off by a fault, but we continued along to see what happened. This is the results of our drill program so far this year. We're still releasing results from this year. We've got a few more releases to go, but everything is holding together very well for us. So that's the original 700 meters at the end of 2021. We lost the contact under the lake bed, but we picked up outcrop exposure on the other side of the lake, followed it down, and then we lose it under the lake bed. But we tested this area with a number of holes and came away very successful, showing that the mineralization continued to the south, the grades were still there, the widths were still there, and there was a lot of continuity of potential to see how big this structure was going to be. This is what the graded contour model looked like at the end of 2021, before we started drilling this year. And you see these apparent structures across here. That's largely a function of we didn't have any control other than at surface. So we knew exactly where the gold was at surface at these locations, but didn't have any control here. We had till packages here or poor exposures. One of the main goals of this year was to come in and test those zones, push it down deeper at depth, and then see where our strike length went. This is the results that we've released so far in their context to that original 2021 model. You can see that we've had a lot of success pushing it down deeper at depth. We're at about 400 meters vertical depth now with the structure. The strike length has been extended to over 15. That's double the length that we had in 2021, and the grades are still holding in across the length of that structure. We also did some geophysics, seeing how much bigger that can get. We did a loop EM survey, which really helps us identify where the sulfide lenses that intersects that structure occur, and that's where the higher grades tend to occur. We've extended that another 700 meters to the south. We've also done IP over the area, which helps us identify exactly where that contact is. So we've got another 700 meters of strike length before we run onto Newcrest property to test. And then we believe we figured out where the extension is to the north, where it's been offset by a fault. And we're drilling some holes up in that area and haven't released the results yet, but the drill core does look promising that we have found some sort of extension to the system itself. What we're looking at drilling this year coming up is 20 to 25,000 meters of drilling. We're looking to expand still. We're not interested in a resource. We want to see what the mile markers are for this system. How big is this? What are we targeting? We do have the horses to run this. We've got CEO Brad Rourke. He'll be at the booth today. You can stop by and see him. Myself, and then our directors on the company are all experienced members of the mining community, either be it mine builders or junior exploration experienced members. The other staff, the corporate secretary and CFO, are well experienced in the mining industry as well. And if you look at our corporate structure, we have been rapidly advancing our institutional network. In 2019, when we first kind of came out of the gates, we had zero institutional support, and now we're almost at 50% between our board and management and our other large shareholders. And we're well positioned to kind of raise the capital we need to go and drill another 20,000 meters this year to show the mile markers on what this deposit looks like. Thank you.